Hello, I'm Matthew Onyschuk, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's a coffee chat day, but before we get into that, I just wanted to say to a friend of mine who enjoys my podcasts, a thank you, a very big thank you for this beautiful gift that he's giving me here, which is this T-shirt. They were thinking me of the other day, so he sent this to me. And so we got this Canadian beaver taking a selfie of a couple of grazing behind with a spaceship in a forested area. And I thought it very appropriate because, of course, I'm Canadian and I like the forest. I love ETs and the experiences of them. And maybe one day I'll be able to take a selfie with them, but I won't get too far ahead of myself and we'll just take it one step at a time. But shout out to my friend. Thank you very much for at least thinking of me. I appreciate that and the encouragement that goes along with that. You know who you are. So today's coffee chat title is going to be um, overcoming the difficulties of dealing with the fear of an extraterrestrial experience. And that experience can come in a multitude of ways. It could be a physical experience where you are considered to be an abductee and you're awakened in the middle of the night, or you're driving, minding your own business, and a physical experience with an extraterrestrial occurs. It could be the way that I primarily have those experiences, which is through my dream state and also through my channeling gift that I've developed, albeit I've had a couple of physical experiences myself. Or it could be what perhaps the multitude of people will experience for the first time once first disclosure occurs, which is you turn on the TV and the news is reporting first disclosure in some form, whether they're showing UAPs in the skies, or whether it's a government faction that is releasing information, or you're walking the dog and you look up and you have your own personal experience of seeing a UAP fly by, and your five senses are freaking out because you can see what you can see, but there's no contrast as to how to explain to your mind what it is you're experiencing. So fear, anxiety, and these natural emotional precursors will occur. It still occurs to me to this day. But what I wanted to share with you in that respect is a formula that I follow to help me with those, say, fears that are naturally occurring, to help me enrich the experience that I'm having, because they're not here to scare us. It's just a byproduct of being introduced, whether it be for the first time or even multiple times. It takes time for us to get used to one another, because they are different than us in terms of physical makeup. So I'm going to share with you what my formula is. I've developed it from learning from others and also from information I receive as a knowing through my own channeling gift. And I've pieced this together and I've tried it out and it works for me. So if you'd like to give it a try for yourself, should you have an experience, I thought it best to share this right now because, again, they're encouraging me to start now formulating education sessions like this, informal, but education sessions nonetheless, of what I've learned, how I apply what I've learned, and how it helps me, so that anybody who has these experiences for the first time have a resource to at least consider trying what will be shared. So first and foremost, when we come into the presence of an extraterrestrial experience, and that could be physically seeing them as an abductee, which is what some people experience. It could be in a dream state, which is primarily the way that I experience them, but albeit I've had a few physical experiences. Or it could be like everybody else, where you're just minding your own business. You turn on the news and there is a news anchor sharing breaking news about first disclosure, whether it be information being shared with them from government entities that are coming clean, or whether it be reports from the field of UAPs in the sky. But you're visually seeing something, you're hearing it, and you're getting this information. It will cause a bit of fear and anxiety in anybody, because it's all new. And it's one of those things that everybody's going to have to come to terms with in their own way. And so the first thing I would share with you is this: extraterrestrials are multidimensional beings, much like an ascended master, much like an angelic. They're all multidimensional beings, and they vibrate at a very high level of frequency in comparison to the human experience, because multidimensional means that you could become physical if you choose, but you're primarily of energy. And you prefer that because it's the way it's explained to me is it's just more comfortable, it's more fun, it's more free. dialing down their vibration level to create their form and physicality is a drag. They'll do it, and there's purposes and times to do that, but it's not like they get up in the morning and go, oh boy, I can't wait to get into physical form today, because it's an effort, and I don't think they enjoy it that much. Whereas that's our natural state. And for us to even imagine we are multidimensional beings and can vibrate higher and maybe come out of physical form to some extent is not natural to us, because we haven't been taught that that's what we're capable of. And that's a separate topic, and something certainly we as a species are going to learn in the years to come, that is available to us, and it is something that we can learn to do. But in the meantime, this is the experience, physicality in a body. Okay. Now, this body is a physical, biological supercomputer. It's not who we are. This body is not who I am. The mind that I have is not who I am. Who I am is the experiencer, the soul, the one that's driving this vehicle, having the experiences and interpreting the information and learning the lessons. But once this body dies, my soul checks out and goes someplace else and may come back and have a different type of experience next time. And extraterrestrials are no different. They die, their souls leave their bodies, and they choose to come back in some other form. But in the meantime, when they're having their experience and we're having our experience, there is a difference between the resonant level or the vibration level. So the way it's measured is in frames per second. And multidimensional beings, so extraterrestrials, angelics, and ascended masters, and those types of beings, vibrate anywhere between 200,000 to 300,000 frames per second. Whereas a human being having a human being physical experience, on average, is between 40,000 and 60,000 frames per second. So quite a difference. And humans can dial up their vibration levels. So even if you're not spiritual, if you go to the gym and you eat well and you get good sleep and you manage your stressors in life and you're making choices that are in alignment with who you feel you really are, as opposed to making choices that you think that other people want you to make, you naturally raise your vibration level. And when you add on top of that meditation, acupuncture, tai chi, any of the modalities, and there's a plethora of them that then also help increase your vibration level, you can get up to 150,000 frames per second. But there is a limit to it, because you're a physical being in the sense that your atoms and your cells are vibrating at a lower rate to be able to hold the form of this physical body so that you can have the experience of this planet and all the lessons that go along with that. And if you get too high, just means your atoms start to vibrate more and more and more. And at some point, I've never seen this, but you could physically break your body apart if you got too high. And I guess at some point when we're taught that we're actually multidimensional beings ourselves, it's just that we don't know how that gift works and how to utilize it for our highest benefit. Until that time comes, we're still having a physical experience, and so there's a limit to our level. So if you can imagine, say you're doing all the great things you can to be as healthy and happy as you possibly can, but you're not spiritual, you don't look into spirituality, you don't believe in aliens, or you don't want to attend to any type of possibility of life on another planet, and you're just living your human existence the way you want to, you could be 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 frames per second just by doing that. And yet when they come into your experience, there's a disconnect there. So it's kind of like two tuning forks. You're the 60,000 frames per second tuning fork, and here comes a 260,000 frames per second being, an extraterrestrial, let's say. And of course, the vibration of their vibration starts to hit your tuning fork, and it starts to vibrate, but it can't get to that level. And that disconnect in the resonance level is what causes your body to freak out. And the reason why that is because your body already is pre-programmed to know when the moment of death will occur. Because when your soul is ready to say, I've had enough, I'm ready to leave now, and it leaves the body, your soul basically turns on and goes up to its natural vibratory rate of 300,000 frames per second, which is what a soul traditionally vibrates at. And the body feels that just as it's starting to check out, and the body knows that means the soul's leaving and it's going to die. And of course, the body has a fear of that because it doesn't want to die, even though it knows it's an inevitability as part of this experience. So when that being comes in at 260,000 or 300,000 frames per second, and your body's feeling that, it's freaking out because it thinks that your soul's about to check out. It thinks that you're saying, I'm ready to die. I'm out of here. And it's like, no, don't go. And that's the fear that your body generates. And because you know, your awareness is like, I'm not checking out. I'm very happy being alive and having more life experiences. But in this particular moment, I don't understand what's going on. It feels that fear, and now you're freaking out. That's the first level of fear. The second level of fear that kicks in is your mind starts to freak out because the computer, which is taking in all the sensory input from the five senses and trying to make heads or tails of either what it's seeing or what it's experiencing, it's freaking out because it has no contrast. It has no prior experience to be able to compare what it's feeling right now to what is really going on. So it's freaking out. And then it feels the fear from the body, and that's like gasoline on the fire. And so it's natural to feel this. So what to do in that situation? Well, there's a few things. The first thing what I do is I remind myself. So for me, my experience is they typically will paralyze me from the head down to the feet when I'm asleep in my bed. And then once they've got me fully paralyzed, they lift me up, and then I see the ceiling coming at me. And then after that, the memories typically stop. Well, that paralysis process can take anywhere from 10 to 20, 30 seconds at sometimes. And as it's occurring, I'm being frozen in sequence from head to foot. And the fear always kicks in, especially when the body starts to rise and I can see the ceiling coming at my face, even though I've had multiple experiences of the same event, just in different experiences. It still gets me to this day. But now what I just say to myself is, okay, first of all, the fear that my body's feeling is just the disconnect between their vibratory level and mine. And I just simply say to my body, I'm not leaving. I'm not dying. I'm not checking out. This is what you're experiencing, but no, it's just a misinterpretation. So let's just settle down and just remind ourselves we're not dying. We're not dying. And they're certainly not here to harm us. And as I do that, I start to calm down a little bit. And then for my mind, what I say to my mind is, yeah, they're different. Yeah, this is a freaky experience. But remember, whatever it is that you're seeing or you're sensing, especially if you're seeing them, because they look a heck of a lot different than us based on different types of species, and some can be very different. And even for me, it's a difficult time processing it sometimes. But I just remind myself, I am not this body. This is a human body. I call it Matthew. It's a physical, biological supercomputer that I chose as a soul to come into to drive around and enjoy this life for what it has to teach me. And at some point, I'm going to check out and leave this with the leasing company, and then it'll be recycled and come back in some other form for somebody else. And in the meantime, I'm going to go off and have a break someplace before I decide to come back in some other form. And they, that being they, whether it's an ascended master, an angelic, an archangel, or an extraterrestrial, because vibration, high vibration levels, high vibration level, they're having their experience. And for extraterrestrials, they chose that body, and that body is just different because of the environment that they grew up in. In other words, this human body looks like it does because it's a human body on planet Earth, a certain distance from the sun, a certain level of evolution, a certain level of environmental conditions have made this body what it is because this is what works in this world environment of Earth, right? Their body looks completely different in some form because of the planet that they evolved on and the conditions that they had to evolve under, both environmental, experiential, et cetera, et cetera. And so again, for my mind, I remind myself, yeah, they look different, but it's just a soul in a different body that desires to have that type of experience. So whether it's a gray or an Arcturian or an Andromedan, that's the type of experience that soul chose. And when that body dies, when that Andromedan dies, it's the same soul from the soul family that I come from, because we're all one. We're all part of the one universe. And yes, my soul may be individuated and having different experiences and making different decisions than the soul that I'm looking at in the extraterrestrial. But when these two bodies die, we're equals and we just have new information to share. Oh, how was your experience as a human? Not bad. How was yours like as a gray? Oh, let me tell you about it. But in the moment, that's the way that I calm both my body down and my mind down, by reminding me of those facts. Those are my facts that I've either learned through my own experiences or I have picked up through learnings through other sources, including my own channeling gifts. The third thing that I share with myself is simply this, is that these experiences are meant to grow me. And the experience of them coming here is for them to grow themselves. In other words, they're benevolent. There are some considered to be trickster and perhaps even a little malevolent species out there, but you know, in terms of the split, it's like 98 to 2%. 98% being benevolent and 2% being, maybe the troublemakers in the alleyway. Um, so those that are here are not here to harm us. They're not here to conquer us. They're not here to eat us. They're not here to destroy our planet or to pillage our resources. So I just remind myself they're here because they evolved before us. They have gone through many of the things that humankind are now going through at this time and learning, and we're consciously awakening as a result of it. And they're simply here to say, we went first, we went once before you. And our responsibility is to travel the universe and find species that are close to where we were once when we first woke up or we became conscious of who we are and how we should be operating if we want to have a longevity for our species. And they're here just to share that information with us for those who choose to listen to it and to even perhaps incorporate some of that good information into our lives to help ourselves become more aligned to who we are, to our truth, and to become a being that makes conscious decisions about our actions and activities that are in alignment with who we are. And that's what they want us to learn, because that's what they learned the hard way. And like a good brother or sister, they're trying to share with us that information before we go off a cliff. So the last thing I remind myself is simply this: they don't need to destroy us. We're doing a good job by ourselves. And if they really wanted things like our resources, they don't need to destroy us or to conquer us to take it. They just would take it because they have that capability. Their technology and their consciousness are way beyond what ours are at this time. But, factually, why would you waste your time and your effort doing something negatively to a species that's going to jump off a cliff sooner or later anyway? So if they want, say, I don't know, gold, water, just wait another 1,000 years. We'll wipe ourselves out, and then the skies will be cleared. You can come down and take whatever you want. And they're not going to, because that's not what they're here for. So that's the third thing I remind myself, is that they're benevolent and they are here as a form of friendship. And after I go through those three steps during the experience, I'm tremendously calmed down. I still have a little feeling of intrepidation, but now I have been able to manage my emotions based on the factual content of what I've learned in my experiences, which is the body's freaking out by itself, but I'm experiencing it. The mind is freaking out by itself because of the input it's receiving. And I get to choose how to interpret that information. And when I know a little bit more of what I've shared with you as being exactly kind of what's going on in terms of the body experience and the mind experience, it helps me calm myself down so that I can manage my emotions better. And then something magical happens. I'm able to enjoy the experience for what it is, a loving, benevolent experience, whatever it is that they are there to share with me in those particular moments. And so I leave that with you because more information is coming through and first contact is becoming more and more prevalent. And we're going to see some very, very interesting events over the next, say, 12 to 18 months. And so anybody who's watching this video, I hope you find this helpful. It's been very helpful for me, but it was kind of like trial by fire. I had to learn on the fly, so to speak. So hopefully this makes other people's experiences a little bit more easy, especially if you happen to turn on the TV one day and see that that news broadcast that I sincerely believe is forthcoming soon. And I'll leave that with you. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. If you'd like to see more of these videos as they become available, hit the subscribe button. And if you're interested in having a one-on-one session with our extraterrestrial friends through me as a channel servicing you, I'll leave a link to my website below where more of those details are contained. In the meantime, have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon again.